Welcome to the Sheff United Way. My name's Hal. Ricky-Jade Jones. That's who we're going to speak about today. Ricky-Jade Jones. It's Ricky-Jade hyphenated. That's how it's spelt, and it's not like Blades fans to spell names incorrectly. He's 21. He'll be 22 in November, if he's not careful. He was born in Peterborough. He can play as a left winger or a striker. Now, how does he fare on the most important question of all, the good/great height for a man scale? Well, he's 6 feet, which, in my opinion, is too tall. You ask anyone, Panchero, Ollie, me, they'll all say the same. He is right-footed, so he can cut inside. If he's playing on that left wing, you love to see it. He's fast. Really fast, wheels for feet. He can apparently score with both feet as well. Jones came from the Peterborough United Academy. He is a Peterborough United fan. He made his first team debut aged just 16. That was in the EFL Trophy against Arsenal under 21s. That was a match in October 2019, signing his first professional contract on his 17th birthday. His former academy manager, Kieran Scarfe, had plenty of positive things to say about the forward. He said he's the quickest player I've seen, and I've seen some quick players. With the work that continues to go into him, he's only going to get better, and his potential is enormous. End quote. He's also been compared with Usain Bolt for his speed. That is really where the comparison ends. But frightening stuff, or exciting stuff, or both, really depends on your point of view. If you're a defender facing him, it's frightening stuff. In his second appearance and first start, he scored his first goal for Peterborough. Again, another EFL trophy tie, this time against Cambridge United. That was on the 12th of November 2019. He went on to make his league debut on the 23rd of November 2019 against Burton Albion. Now, he's mainly a winger or a striker, but he has played a few times elsewhere. Let's break it down, as is my wont. He's played as a centre-forward 41 times, a left winger 21 times, attacking midfield 4 times, right winger 4 times, and he's also played just slightly further back in left midfield twice. In his career, in his appearances, 146, 24 goals and 9 assists. If we look at the 23-24 season, 39 starts, 16 sub-appearances, 13 goals and 5 assists. Posh chairman, Darragh McAnthony, who is excellent, he's really good on social media, he told his Hard Truth podcast, "We have the data which says Ricky is the best presser in League One. Of course, he should have 20 goals by now, and the fans have a right to moan. But some has been over the top. If Posh fans don't want him, I will have clubs offering millions for him in the summer. I already have. I can point to 10 games when Ricky has made a big impact on games we have won. Northampton at home is one. Without his pressing, and with Joel Randall behind him, he would not have scored the goals we did, and Northampton might have even nicked that game. Look at the points per game we accumulated when Ricky started playing as a centre-forward compared to the points per game before he was a regular. We had top 2 form, and Ricky played big parts in us winning at Derby and Blackpool and in other important games. We won those games because of the way we play." It's a decent quote. It says a lot, perhaps about one thing we're going to get to a bit later on, which is Posh fans and their opinion of him, which has been mixed to say the least. Now, Jones, he was apparently once tracked by Manchester United and Liverpool. Apparently there's even been recent interest from Newcastle United. That can happen with pacey players, you know, especially when they're young. They can really look the part on the pitch. He is tall for a winger, if that's where he'll play going forward, but no surprise to see a 6-foot striker. That's par for the course. Now, I mentioned Usain Bolt a little earlier. Well, according to statistics, he is less than 1.4 seconds slower than Usain Bolt over 100 metres. Incredible speed, but, and I will just say, but, we've had speedy players who can't finish before. Do we need another? Andy Campbell, if we're going further back. Ollie Burke, slightly more recently. I haven't seen too much of Benny Traore, but I seem to recall he was fast. Anyway, there's a comparison there with fast players who couldn't finish. We will see as we get further into the details. We're going to look at statistical analysis if it does actually change our opinion. It's interesting because I find some stats can be deceiving and the eye test is possibly more useful for a pace merchant. But anyway, let's plow on. Now, these stats initially, I did look at 2 different places, but the first ones are from FOTMob. And they're courtesy of FOTMob, that they're compared to other strikers in League One. So we'll get a picture of the player and see if this could signal perhaps a formation change for Sheffield United. Maybe we'll go 4-3-3 this season and he'll be left of the front 3, or we'll play him out wide in a kind of left wing position. But anyway, when discussing percentiles, as we're going to do now, the higher the percentage rank, the better the player is at the specific action. So if it's a high percentage, they're good. Low percentage, not so good at that thing. And when Ricky-Jade Jones, or RJJ, as I might call him, maybe not, gets his shots on target, and he doesn't always get his shots on target, he has an XG of 0.52, which ranks high, 85th percentile. He also gets into good areas, having 5.58 touches in the opposition box per 90 minutes, ranking in the 83rd percentile. But he isn't one I would describe as a goal threat. I've watched some absolutely shocking misses on clips from him, concerning if played up top. But then I've also witnessed him be composed and play shots, but it's been, few and far between in some of those things I've seen. Some of his assists, however, I thought they'd been very tidy. Outside of the foot passes, trickery, the lot. He completes 0.86 dribbles per 90, ranking him in the 71st percentile. This is sort of where he's going to land for most of these next few stats. He can also put a good cross in after these runs, having 20.6% crossing accuracy, placing him again 71st percentile. He's not great at passing. What he lacks in passing ability, according to stats, he makes up for in athleticism. Yes, there's that raw pace again, but he's also strong. He's very capable of holding off players, only being dispossessed 1.17 times per 90, placing him in the 70th percentile. He only completes 4.23 passes per 90, ranking him in the 3rd percentile, which, his accuracy is 59%, showing a potential lack of ability or composure on the ball. He's also not much of an aerial threat. Ricky-Jade Jones, despite being 6 foot, could do better in the air. Yes, he's got his weaknesses. His link-up play would need to be hugely improved. His aerial duel success rate is cause for concern, considering his height and strength. And when running with the ball, we've seen some areas there that could be improved. Peterborough United fans have shared their thoughts. We'll get to those in a moment. But when looking at stats per Wyscout, which I also had a look at, it's the same story. Put briefly, Jones ranks in the 90th percentile for goals per 90, 96th percentile for expected goals per 90, and 85th percentile for shots per 90. Now, that makes it sound like he's a goal scorer, a regular goal scorer. Well, he's not. Should he score more? Yes. He will score more, I believe, as he matures with better players around him. Certainly, I hope that's the case. They're very different players, but look at Callum Wilson. He took time to start scoring regularly. I remember when I was doing my ground hopping back in 2011. I watched him play briefly at Kettering, and he didn't look like the kind of goal scorer that he's become, or the kind of coveted player that he's become. Ivan Toney, another who didn't hit the ground running in terms of scoring, but found his feet as he matured. These two players are probably more physical, but the point is the goals didn't initially flow, then the coaching, maybe the body filled out or matured, and the composure was eventually there. Jones could be the same. Jake Standerland on SheffUnitedWay.com, check it out, said this about Jones. At 6 foot, Jones is quite tall for a natural wide man, but he is poor in the air. Personally, I like a winger to be tall so they can make darting runs to the near post or can get on the end of deep crosses. So if he can work on that with his pace, he could be a real menace. Overall, he definitely has a lot to work on in his game, but let's not forget he's still 21, so there's plenty of time for that. Jones definitely has a lot of potential and one I think is worth signing as an impact sub in the Championship. End quote. Some posh fans have been less than charitable when discussing Ricky-Jade Jones on Twitter. Here's just a handful. Jack at TheHumanPro23. He will have a good couple of moments, but no more. Not accurate. Only thing he has is speed. Seems scared to take a shot at times. Joe at JFGPUFC said, you'd be correct playing him at left wing. Not sure how he'd work with Burrows, but we've had a season of him as our out-and-out striker and it hasn't quite worked out. Hayden has said, Jones smacked it off the crossbar from 2 yards out. Yikes. Also, John Verrill, I defy anyone to watch that 45 minutes of football and say they can't see a player in Ricky-Jade Jones. This is obviously referencing a previous game. He has terrified them with his pace and also led a press from the front brilliantly. Deserves to be getting so much more love. Gets in areas a left winger would occupy. I really think that is his role. He's not a 9. Jared Farmer, Ricky-Jade Jones on the wing. Yes, yes, and yes again. At @posh_KS, 100% would be a better player if he was on the wing. Teddy_UTP was very helpful when I asked for the opinions of some Posh fans, has said he will work his off every match, guaranteed. Forces defenders into mistakes through his pressing. Needs coaching in parts of his game. So much potential if you get the right coach. Undervalued by our fans because he burst onto the scene at 16, but has had a lot of injuries in the last couple of years. Last season was his first real season without lengthy injuries, mainly due to growing pains. Physically, he's ready to grow into his body. Our fans get on his case because the chairman put pressure on him by hyping him up. Ignore the previous season's goal record. Most of the appearances, he was coming on with 10, 20 minutes max. It doesn't tell his story. He's an effective weapon to have. If you get behind the kid with support, he can go a long way. He'll give you everything. What stats won't show you is the mistakes he forces the opposition into through panic. Won us loads of fouls in good areas. His end product needs work at times. If Wilder spends time with him and develops him, you've got a real machine on your hands. Now, my mate Matt Weston, who's a massive Peterborough fan, and I mean that quite literally because he is the strongest man I know, Matt has said he is the quickest player you will ever have signed. Absolute lightning. His end product needs much work, but his effect on games is undoubted. Because he's so quick, teams have to think twice about playing high and in dropping off to mitigate the threat. He creates space for midfield and number 10 positions. In short, he creates absolute chaos. Don't expect a completely rounded striker. His finishing needs lots of work. He will miss chances, but he will thrill and excite fans. His work rate is incredible. Perfect for an intense, high press. Again, chases down defenders in an instant and will run all day long. Devastating off the bench, also as an option. Has scored some very important goals for Posh, such as the winner at Pride Park last season. I will be absolutely fascinated to see how he copes at championship level, surrounded by higher quality players. Raw, lightning fast, unpredictable, frustrating, exciting, hard-working. He will be a talking point. The first time Blades fans see his pace, it will send a gasp around Bramall Lane. Matt, that is such a brilliant quote. Really, the whole video could just have been that quote, but it wouldn't have been long enough. Our very own Riley Roberts said if he could finish, he'd be a Prem player already. I just like his all-round game and think surely he'll put it all together at some point. Reminds me a bit of Watkins when he first went to Brentford. Needs 3 good chances to score. There is a song that Peterborough fans have already, and I don't really like singing, because I'm British, but I think it could work, particularly, the Harrison Burroughs connection. It's, I like it, I like it, I like it, I like it, whoa, here we go. Burroughs and Ricky-Jade Jones. The status quo thing. I didn't do it justice, and I kind of lost heart halfway through. Now, let's have a look at this quote from @JFootball004, who is well worth a follow. Said, think he'd be great pressing in a 2 and good out wide going forward. If he signed, I'd have him as a second choice left winger, third choice striker. What do you think? As always, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, and feel free to leave us a positive review on iTunes if you get your Sheff United Way fix on audio podcast. We will see you on the internet again very soon. As ever, up the blades.